Throughout Scripture, moments of radiant clarity break through the shadows, moments when men step forward with holy resolve and when women walk forward in unshakable trust. These are not reactive acts, dependent on others behaving rightly, but interior choices anchored in faith. When men rise in strength rooted in obedience, and when women believe without demanding signs, heaven touches earth through their witness. Noah built the ark in a world that had never seen rain, surrounded by mockery. He did not hesitate, delay, or demand explanation. He acted. His courage was not dramatic but daily, hammering out obedience with every plank. He shows that masculine strength is found not in dominance, but in the perseverance of trust. Abraham, long before his failures with Hagar, left his father's household without knowing where he was going. When God said go, he went. He walked into the wilderness, guided only by promise. His courage was not in conquering, but in trusting an invisible God over visible safety. Joseph, betrayed and forgotten, refused to repay evil with evil. Whether managing a prison or Pharaoh's empire, he led with quiet excellence and unwavering forgiveness. He took responsibility for those who had hurt him. His strength was in stewardship, his manhood in mercy. David, still a boy, ran toward Goliath when others trembled. His courage wasn't bravado, it was conviction. He didn't fight for personal glory, but for God's name. And later, though flawed, he repented with full-hearted sorrow. Courage in David was not the absence of failure, but the refusal to harden. Nehemiah rebuilt Jerusalem in the face of threats and slander. He wielded both sword and trowel, guarding the people and calling them back to holiness. His leadership was not controlling, but covering, not passive, but purposeful. Joseph, husband of Mary, never speaks in Scripture, yet every action he takes is bold obedience. He protects Mary, flees with his family, makes decisions under divine guidance. His silence is not passivity, it is the strength of someone whose trust runs deeper than words. Boaz sees Ruth's dignity before she speaks a word. He guards her without knowing her full story, provides for her without condition, redeems her without delay. His manhood is not measured by power, but by protection, integrity, and immediacy in doing what is right. Peter steps out of the boat at the sound of Jesus' voice. He believes water can bear him up if Christ commands it. Though he sinks in moments of fear, he still remains the one who walked where others stayed behind. After his denial, he becomes a lion of faith, preaching with fire, leading the early church, and eventually laying down his life. His story reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the refusal to obey it. Stephen, as stones rained upon him, preached forgiveness. His face glowed like an angel's, not from escape, but from clarity. He did not fight to survive, he surrendered to glorify. His masculine strength lay in holding heaven's vision as earth rejected him. Jesus, the perfect man, sets the pattern. He confronts evil, weeps with compassion, lifts the broken, rebukes the proud, and surrenders his life without resentment. His is the courage that does not dominate, but dies to save. The true opposite of passivity is the cross. And as men rise in this kind of strength, so too do women bloom in unshakable faith. Their trust is not tethered to human control, but grounded in God's character. Mary, when told she would conceive the Son of God, does not ask for proof or guarantees. She asks only how, not if. And when told, she answers with the boldest yes in human history. Let it be to me according to your word. Her surrender is not weakness, it is the summit of faith. Hannah, barren and mocked, prays with such fervor the priest thinks she is drunk. She doesn't defend herself, she pours out her soul and walks away believing she has been heard. Her faith is not in a visible sign, but in the assurance of being seen by God. Rahab, a woman outside the covenant, hides the Israelite spies not because she was told to, but because she believed. She risked her life on the faith that the God of Israel was stronger than her city's walls. Her trust saved her family and inserted her into the lineage of Christ. The widow of Zarephath gives Elijah her last meal in a famine. Her doubt would have been understandable, even logical, but she acts with fearless generosity. Her reward is abundance in drought. The Shunammite woman lays her dead son on Elisha's bed and says, "It is well." She saddles her donkey and rides, not to mourn but to believe. She does not weep until she sees the prophet. Her trust holds long past the visible pulse of hope. Deborah leads Israel not in defiance, but because God placed his word in her. She calls Barak to battle, and when he falters, she rises, not to shame him, but to fulfill what was needed. Her confidence was not self-inflated, it was grounded in the call of God. Ruth walks away from her homeland and God's without a guarantee of anything but hardship. She binds herself to Naomi and to the God of Israel with the vow of the faithful. She does not scheme or assert, she simply serves. Her loyalty becomes the seed of redemption. The Canaanite woman chases after Jesus despite silence, rejection, and insult. She will not let go until mercy flows. Her faith crosses cultural and theological lines because she sees the goodness of Christ, and that vision is enough to persist. The woman with the issue of blood crawls through a crowd just to touch his garment. She risks shame, public exposure, and rejection, but she believes. And in touching him, she is healed, not only of her illness, but of her isolation. Mary Magdalene stands by the cross, waits at the tomb, and weeps when all seems lost. She becomes the first to witness the resurrection. Her faith is so personal, so fierce, that even angels cannot distract her. She waits until the Lord calls her name. Anna prays in the temple for decades, fasting and waiting for the Messiah. When she sees the child Jesus, she speaks with joy, her eyes having seen the fulfillment of long-held hope. Her trust endured beyond the boundaries of time and public recognition. Lydia, a seller of purple, opens her home and her heart to the gospel. She becomes a pillar of the early church not through strategy, but through open-hearted hospitality. Her faith flows into action, generosity, and influence. These women did not need a man to act first in order to believe, and these men did not need applause or partnership to obey. Each stands as a witness to what it means to rise in righteousness on their own path, led by the Spirit, grounded in trust. This is the sacred mirror of redemption. Men who lead with conviction, not coercion. Women who believe with strength, not suspicion. Not to complete each other, but to honor God fully. Each on their own reflecting the fullness of what it means to live without passivity, without doubt. Only faith, only courage, only God.